What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers and welcome to Stat Diggers for UFC Saudi Arabia. We have Naimov going against Israel Adesanya. We are back after a week off, and yeah, should be a fun card here. I'm here as always with Uncle Wheezy. Wheezy, what is up? Are you looking forward to being back in UFC Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I think we got like 12 straight weeks of UFC action. So it's going to be a long stretch for us content creators, but it's a lot of opportunity at the same time, and that's what we're here for. So I'm looking forward to this card. We're going to the happiest place on earth, Brady, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and it is going to be a happy card for us gamblers because we're going to crush these bookies this week. And like a lot of these fights, I think they did a great job on this one. Like there's 3 heavyweight fights on this card. There's some really interesting prospects. There's some really good established veterans. Got a nice mix of everything. And it's a morning card. We're going to wake up, watch some fights, and then we could go out on Saturday night without having to worry about staying in to watch the fight. So it's going to be a beautiful weekend here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, me as well. Me as well. I do have a very, very, very special announcement, a huge shout out to give. And the shout out goes to one Jason Herzog. Thank you, Jason Herzog. I forgive you, Jason Herzog. It was crazy, Weezy. 2 weeks ago, my night came down to the Jailton Almeida Sergei Spivak fight. I had the fight won't start round 3 in a parlay. I had the under 1.5. I had Jailton Almeida by KO. And throughout the week, we were messaging. We both liked violence in the fight. And I messaged you on Discord. I said, dude, they're heavyweights. We don't got to worry about Herzog being in there, right? Herzog weighs like 125. Herzog's not going to be in there. I look up at the screen, and Herzog is reffing the Jailton Almeida Sergei Spivak fight. I yell, no! How could this be happening? How could this be happening? I start freaking out. And then it all plays out wonderfully, Weezy. Jailton Almeida, he hurts Sergei Spivak on the feet, gets into mount, takes his back, flattens him out, and starts pounding away. Pound. Spivak, he quits. He's covering up. He quits. There's 10 seconds left on the clock. I'm like, there's no way Herzog's stopping it. Herzog's not stopping this fight. He's not stopping it. And Jason Herzog stopped the fight.
He did.
He stopped the fight. My biggest win since Vicente Luque submitted that bum, Themba Garimbo. So that was huge. And to show support for Jason Herzog, to show my forgiveness, I went out and I purchased a Team Herzog t-shirt. I'm officially part of Team Herzog, and it says it's a lifetime membership. Jason Herzog, thank you so much. You stopped the fight, and what a stoppage it was. When somebody's covering up and not fighting back, you stopped the fight, and you did. So everybody shout out to Jason Herzog. I forgive you. You fucked me so many times. But I forgive you. And shout out to Jason Herzog. I will proudly be wearing this shirt around the house from this on forward. So you shout out to Herzog.
Dude, he finally took a break from all the snuff film festivals, Brady. He went in there and he said to himself, instead of, just satisfying his own bloodthirsty urges, he said, today, yes, I'm helping out the Stat Diggers crew. Today, I'm worried about fighters' safety. Today, I'm going to do the right thing when Jailton Almeida has this dude flattened out and he's hitting his head from both sides. I'm going to stop this fight right at the end of the first round. And let me tell you something, Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a great week 2 weeks ago. Up a little over 3 units. Ass shaving of the week was Ranier de Ritter, who won by first round submission. Dog pick of the week cashes at plus 250 on Marab the Machine Davalishvili. Probability parlay hits. The greasy 4-legger hits, and the last leg is what?
Yes.
Fight doesn't start round 3 for Almeida versus Spivak. And Brady, the take this job and shove it parlay at plus 3770.
Woo!
Grant Dawson by decision, check. Ranier de Ritter by submission, check. Leg 3 is what? Jailton Almeida by KO. Jason Herzog, you magnificent bastard. You did it. You cashed me a plus 37.70 on the take this job and shove it parlay, a plus 6 something on the greasy 4-leg parlay. A 3-unit bet on a minus 180 fight doesn't start round 3. So yeah, when the referees help you out and the bounce goes your way, it's an absolutely beautiful thing. And we got Jason Herzog to thank for that, Brady.
Dude, Jason Herzog and Mark Smith combined for like over a 10-unit win. That stoppage in the Kopylov-Curtis fight,
oh yeah,
5 units for me, and then the stoppage in the Almeida fight, that was like 5.5 units for me. So Jason Herzog and Mark Smith making my year so far. So shout out to them. I didn't get a Mark Smith shirt. Are there
Mark Smith shirts?
I don't know.
It's probably a plain polo with a really small, MS, and like it would be the plainest thing ever. But you never know. You never know. We can get some Mark Smith merchandise out there. But Keith Petersen merchandise is the merchandise that we all need, and I think it needs to be him, just like passed out drunk on a barroom floor somewhere. It'd be great.
Dude, it's hilarious. Like, you can go on Discord and search a word on Discord, and it'll tell you how many times you've said that word. I searched up Herzog. I've said Herzog 51 times. 51 times. How many times do you think I've said Petersen?
I mean, that would probably have to be, I'm guessing, 75.
Close, 64. I've said Petersen 64 times. That's so crazy.
You can search that on Discord? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh, I never knew that. I'm going to have to check that out.
I'm going to search up ass 1,000 times. 1,000 plus. I didn't even tell you the exact number. 1,000 plus times I've said ass on Discord. Ain't that something?
It really is, man.
It says there's 14 medias that said ass, 12 links that said ass, 4 files that said ass. What am I sending? They need to kick me off of there. Jeez. Oh.
Oh man.
Yeah. So yeah, I've said ass 1,000 times to Wheezy.
Yeah. That's not surprising, dude. I mean, like, we talk way too much on Discord.
All right, let's set up the chat, guys. Hopefully, you all had a fun week off. We got a big stretch coming up. We got Von Whedon checking in from X saying, Imavov, my dog of the week. Yeah, that should be a very interesting main event. We got Tarzan in the building. THC, welcome back. Elijah One, let's go. Got some on Izzy. Moneyline minus 163. Muhammad saying, I hope it wasn't the only one to bet on Hayani. I didn't bet on the fight. I just sat back and watched. But yeah, to Peyton Tao was like minus 1,100. So shout out to anybody that got in on Hayani Barcelos because the fight wasn't even close. Hayani looked like the minus 1,000 favorite. It was crazy. We got our guy Avery Marino in the building. Let's go. Avery's been killing 170% and 460%. Jeez, wow. Last 2 cards. Let's get another profitable day. Let's do it. We got Justin Vallejos in the building. We got Sage saying, cut Peyton. They will treat him like Despain and take him to the mat next fight. I think Peyton will be all right. We got the bookie mail. What is up? Let's go, boys. Let's get it. 9 straight events now. Did we lose one? Did we lose an event?
Oh, no. I think it's more than 9.
Oh,
it's more than 9, dude. We're going all the way until March 29th that we know of. But, like, I think there's cards in April, too. If you go to, like, Tapology to the Fight Center, it's gonna show that there are cards every week until April 12th. I mean, look, there's no breaks until April 12th, and that is at the bare minimum.
Dang. That's a lot.
So we got a lot of work to do, my friend.
Scratch and sniff, what was he talking about there? I don't know. Peyton Talbot is basically Kong Wong. Talbot will be all right. He'll be all right.
He's going to be fine, yeah.
Hayani Barcelos is a very good fighter. He's a very good fighter. Mike Davis, yeah, it's National Mike Davis Fight Week. He fights once every several years, and when he does, it's very fun. So looking forward to that. All right, guys, before we get started, if you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel. We go live every Sunday, 7:15 Eastern time, never a second late. I know we have football going on, Bills, Chiefs, but yeah, I wanted to come on here and talk some fights, and that's what we'll do. We're going to kick it off with the first fight of the card. We got Bolaji Oki going against Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady. We have Bolaji Oki, 29 years old, 5'10", with a 73-inch reach. Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady, 29 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. Same age there. It's going to be Oki with a 2-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. Oki is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. First round knockout win on the Contender Series against Dylan Salvador, a decision win against Timothy Kwamba in his debut, and then a first round submission loss against Chris Duncan. As far as Kareem Al-Selwady, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights, had a decision win on the Contender Series as a big underdog against George Hardwick, and then lost by third round knockout to Loic Rajabov. So there's been some crazy line movement over the break week, and I'm pissed because I go through, I looked through the odds and I saw a couple things that stuck out. I circled those fights and I meant to tape them and look into them. And then I got the norovirus and I ended up puking all day and couldn't move. And then by the time I stopped puking and shitting, all these lines have moved. Like there's some big dogs that actually have flipped to favorites. And this is another line that's moved quite a bit because I saw Bolaji Oki sitting at minus 110 like Tuesday, Wednesday of last week. And now all of a sudden he's approaching minus 190. And he is coming in here on short notice. Wheezy, kick this one off. A really fun fight to kick off the card here.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Bolaji Oki stepping in on short notice for one Jordan Levitt, who was supposed to be fighting Al-Selwady in Riyadh. So Oki's taking this fight in about 2 weeks' notice. And yeah, with the week off, I kind of got the head start on capping a lot of the fights on this card. And I already wrote this one up, Brady, so I'll just read the summary to the crowd here because I did a beautiful job writing it up. So let's just go right to that. Very interesting fight to kick off the Saudi Arabia card. The market has had a rough time capping these guys' fights under the UFC banner as they're combined 1 win and 2 losses when they are priced as favorites, and they're 2 wins and 0 losses combined when they're priced as underdogs. Both guys are coming off losses where they were finished. Oki was submitted in the first round by Chris Duncan as a minus 190 favorite, and Al-Selwady was violently knocked out in the third round by Loic Rajabov about 11 months ago, and he was a minus 185 favorite against Rajabov in that fight. So not only are both guys coming off losses as favorites, both guys were finished in those losses. So the market's a little low on both guys right now. Both of these guys have obvious advantages in certain areas, which makes this fight very interesting to cap from a betting perspective. Both guys are 29 years old, but that's where the similarities end. Bolaji Oki is the taller and longer fighter. He's definitely more explosive and athletic, and I think he's way more likely to win moments on the feet. And I love his jab and his left hook to the body at distance striking range. And his durability, in my opinion, is a lot more dependable than Al-Selwady's. But I'm a little worried about how he will do if Al-Selwady makes this a grappling match, especially because Bolaji Oki is taking this fight on and cutting weight on about 2 weeks' notice, in addition to traveling from Belgium to Saudi Arabia to fight a Muslim that will clearly have the crowd on his side. Al-Selwady is the more experienced fighter by a sizable margin. He has a significant strength to schedule advantage, in my opinion, and his conditioning is elite, and he uses that conditioning in order to move and feint constantly while at distance striking range, while also being able to push a wrestling-heavy game plan when he doesn't want to strike with his opponents at range. I rate Al-Selwady as the better grappler in this matchup, and I think he has a fairly easy path to victory if he can make the short-notice Oki grapple early and often in this fight and use his elite conditioning and full camp for this fight as weapons. So I think Oki can win this fight if he can stuff the takedown attempts of Al-Selwady and land big shots on the feet. Al-Selwady's been knocked out in all 4 of his professional losses, and Oki has explosive power in both of his hands. I also believe that Al-Selwady has a big grappling advantage if he can get this fight to the ground, and he also has a big conditioning advantage. So if he does choose to grapple Oki, that would deplete Oki's gas tank quickly and make him a lot less dangerous on the feet later in the fight. If Oki was on a full camp and preparing to fight Al-Selwady for 6 weeks, I'd pick him to win this fight. But the short notice for Oki, combined with the experience, strength of schedule, home crowd, conditioning, and grappling advantages on the Al-Selwady side make me have to side with him to win this fight. I think Oki needs a KO in order to win this fight, but I could see Al-Selwady either winning a dominant grappling-based decision or finding a late submission or a ground and pound finish. I'm going to pick Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady to win this fight by decision, but I do think both guys are live to find a finish as well. So I'm going to be interested to see where they open the totals for this fight, and they have opened them. But the pick, Brady, is Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady by decision.
Yeah, I think, and yeah, we'll talk about the line. So Oki opened up plus 210, and that instantly went down to minus 300. But I do remember seeing him at like minus 110 for a couple days, though. And then all of a sudden now he's minus 183. Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady opened up as a minus 250 favorite, I guess, went to plus 250, and then is currently at plus 158. The total is set at 1.5, which is interesting. And they did this on like a couple other fights where they set it at 1.5 for no reason. So the over 1.5 is minus 245, and the under 1.5 is plus 195. It should be 2.5.
Yeah, that well, you know what though, with Al-Selwady having been knocked out in all 4 of his losses, maybe they wanted to move it down to 1.5 here because Bolaji is the favorite. And, you know, I think that most of Bolaji's win condition, in my opinion, Brady, is a finish here because he doesn't have the better conditioning. He's not the more experienced fighter. He's not the better grappler. And he's at a pretty big strength of schedule disadvantage, in my opinion, as well. So, yeah, I think Bolaji's best path is a finish and probably an early one.
Yep, I think the Oki knockout is the way to go rather than playing the money line. And then as far as Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady, the decision prop, the money line. But we talked about this before the show. I think it's going to look like a very, very competitive fight, if not favoring Al-Selwady. But the chin does worry me because it even looked like Al-Selwady was about to be knocked out in the first round of the Rajabov fight. I thought Tyone was about to stop the fight, but he stopped because somebody was grabbing the cage or something. But that looked bad. So yeah, I think Oki's knockout or bust here. Don't mind an under like 2.5, but the under 1.5, no, thank you.
Yeah, agreed. I think that if you're going to bet an under 1.5, just bet Bolaji Oki to win in round 1 or rounds 1 and 2, because Al-Selwady's not going out there and just like one punch starching dudes. You know, he does, and I think we're going to see Al-Selwady grapple here. I don't think he wants to stand in front of this Oki kid. The guy's really explosive and really powerful. And he's out there, you know, having a lot of success on the feet against really good strikers. So I think Al-Selwady needs to grapple here, and he's got the better conditioning. So why not?
Yep, I absolutely think he needs to grab. I think his striking is actually really good. But just the chin, and Oki does hit hard. So yeah, I would like him to grapple. Talking about the Rinya Nakamura gets some help, almost as if like somebody told him not to wrestle. Like I can't get that game plan out of my head. So yeah, shout out to Rinya Nakamura. What the hell was that? 1-800 gambler. This fight, I don't know. I might find my way to a total. Don't mind it.
You might find me in a padded room. If this is a 1-800 gambler fight, you might find your Uncle Weezy in a padded room here, because I think I'm going to have some action on this one.
I mean, we'll talk about Jamal Pogues and Hamdy Abdul pretty soon here. That's a 1-800 gambler fight.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know, man. We'll talk about it. We'll talk. It's a fun fight. It's a fun fight that could go a couple of different ways. So, you know, I kind of like it.
You're gonna bet on that bum Hamdy? Oh,
we'll talk about it. Yeah, at least hear me out, Brady. At least hear me out here. But it's gonna be a fun one to talk about.
These first couple fights are sketchy. All right. Brady's wife likes it when he says Hamdy's name. Hamdy. Yeah, full DJ. Let's. I don't know. I will not be betting on the Hamdy fight. But are we talking about that one next?
Yeah, that's the next fight, my friend. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh God. All right. We have Hamdy Abdelwahab going against Jamal Pogues. We got Hamdy, 32 years old, 6'2" with a 72-inch reach. Jamal Pogues, 29 years old, 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. Pogues 3 years younger, 1-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage. Hamdy 4-0 and 1 no contest his last 5 fight. fights. Made his debut against Dontel Mays and pissed very hot. I think got a 2-year suspension. I'm not sure what he took, but I think
everything.
Everything.
He just took it. He took everything.
He took everything. He certainly did. And Jamal Pogues, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Beat Paulo Renata Jr. on the Contender Series, beat Josh Parisian by decision, lost to Mick by decision, and then beat Thomas Petersen by decision. This fight is a straight pick'em, and I think that is about correct. Not sure what to think about Hamdy. He needed all the steroids in the world to barely squeak by Dontel Mays. Had some good moments in that fight. Almost finished Dontel Mays in the first round. Almost got finished in the second round. And then in the third round, took down Mays and controlled him and won the fight. But yeah, taking about a 2.5-year layoff due to the suspension. Jamal Pogues, I always thought that he's just not taking his career seriously. This is a light heavyweight that's fighting up at heavyweight for no reason other than, I don't know. I don't know why he's fighting at heavyweight, but I remember watching tape on him for the Contender Series, and I'm like, yeah, this guy looks good, looks in great shape. And then he shows up for his Contender Series fight. I'm like, who is this guy? His hair looked all messy. He looked so out of shape, and he still is like decent. He has a good jab, can move quick for a heavyweight, but this guy should not be fighting at heavyweight. I don't know. This just feels like one of those classic slot fests. We were talking about it earlier in the week. Like, yeah, the over could be an interesting look here. And I'm like, yeah, the over is going to be like juice. And oh my gosh, it is. This is a heavyweight fight. The over 2.5 is minus 245. You don't see that for heavyweight fights, but I just can't picture in my head what a finish looks like unless one of these guys like die from a heart attack or something. Yeah, this fight could go either way. I ever so slightly lean Jamal Pogues to potentially stuff the takedowns, be the better striker, but Hamdy's kind of a wild card. Don't know a ton about him other than he has a really solid wrestling background, Olympic background, but we'll see. We'll see. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so it's an interesting fight because when we think of Pogues, you think of a guy that doesn't have much power for heavyweight, but he's got good wrestling. He's got good MMA wrestling. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I believe. I know he was a brown belt a minute back. I think he might be a newly minted black belt, and he was studying under Joe Stevenson, who, had a very long UFC career with, and being almost a pure grappler. So, Pogues is a good fighter. He's got fast hands for a heavyweight and good minute winning ability at distance striking range. And he can wrestle when he's kind of outgunned on the feet. But the problem is that, like, even in the Thomas Petersen fight, I went back and I watched that fight. I had a big bet on Petersen. I thought Petersen was going to take down Jamal and win that fight, probably finish him early. And Pogues stuffed the takedowns, but dude, Pogues barely outstruck Thomas Petersen at range. It was not. It really was actually a lot closer than I remember it being. Now, I still scored the fight for Pogues, but like the striking exchanges were close in some of those rounds. And then you watch the Mick Parkin fight, and Pogues was absolutely awful there. And I think it's important to note that was the first time that Pogues had ever fought outside the country. And he looked awful. Dude, he did nothing in rounds 2 or 3. He got outstruck like 4-1 in significant strike count by Parkin there. And then in the Parisian fight, I went back and I watched the Parisian fight. Dude, he barely won that fight. He's barely winning minutes with his boxing. I think Hamdy's a lot more dangerous on the feet, Brady. I think Hamdy hits a lot harder. And I think because Hamdy needs to close the distance to get into the clinch, that he's going to commit to his strikes a lot more. And the other thing that I like about Hamdy is you go and you watch that Dontel Mays fight, dude, this guy takes you down, you stay down. You're not getting back up. He's got really good top control. He passes the side control, or not side control, he passes the half guard, and he stays there, and he holds you down. The referee stood Mays up twice in that fight. Otherwise, Mays would have never gotten up. So, and when we saw the one time that Petersen did get Pogues down, Pogues stayed down, and he was down until the end of the round, and Petersen landed a lot of really good ground and pound. So I think Hamdy's more dangerous on the feet. I think he's a lot more likely to knock out Pogues than the other way around. And Pogues doesn't hit hard enough to keep Hamdy off of him. And I really like Hamdy's Greco-Roman wrestling. This guy gets a hold of you in that body lock. I think that it's going to work a lot better because he's going to be able to get the upper body takedowns. If you try to get your hands around Pogues' ass, which is gigantic, Brady.
It's huge, yeah.
It's huge. I mean, poor Thomas Petersen with those short arms. He tried to go double leg on him. He couldn't even get his hands clasped. I mean, Pogues' ass is gigantic. He went from 205 to 265, putting on 65 pounds of pure fat on his belly, but most of it went to that ass. And it is a gigantic ass. So, but with Hamdy, he doesn't need to get his hands around your ass. And he wouldn't be able to anyway. He just needs to get his hands around your body. Then he starts working his Greco-Roman trips. I think those takedowns are going to be a lot more useful against somebody like Pogues. So I think Hamdy wins the minutes on the ground. I think he wins the moments on the feet. And I don't think Pogues, I think Pogues short of a submission on the ground, which I think could be possible, or just stuffing the takedowns and outworking Hamdy at distance. I think that's his chance here, but I kind of see Hamdy should be like minus 150, minus 200, because I think he's the much better wrestler, and I think he's got a lot more power on the feet.
Yeah, don't bet this fight. But what we can do, you know how people do, like I know Clint does like the drink bets and whatnot. Let's do a little side bet between me and you. You know, I have Pogues, you have Hamdy. We talked about this a little bit. If Pogues wins, Weezy, you have to gain 60 pounds of fat. Okay.
No.
And if Hamdy wins, I have to take all the steroids. That way we don't have to bet on the fight. We don't have to put money on the fight. We can just have like a fun, friendly bet between the two of us.
I mean, you cannot pass that up. I mean, I would love to pull a Pogues here and put on 60 pounds of fat. And then
no muscle.
And then be like, all right, now we got to get it off, you know? So then we could just we could do like a video blog of me at the gym just sweating butter on the treadmill trying to get down from like 300 pounds.
So do we have a deal?
We got a deal because I'm not putting on that weight. I think you're going to have to take a bunch of steroids and just go start punching holes through walls of your own house.
All right. So it's a deal. So if Jamal Pogues wins the fight, Weezy has to gain 60 pounds of fat. And then if Hamdy wins the fight, I will take all the steroids. What is all, you ask? Well, we'll settle that later. We'll settle that later.
Yeah. We're gonna have to find you a steroid guy first, you know. But we'll get you some good ones, like the good Russian ones.
No, let's not go that far. let's not go that crazy. No. Oh, let's see. And the yam, I could see like a yam bags in this fight, something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, is Pogues gonna jab this guy to a decision? That is the path. Like this fight could be awful. If it's in Saudi, do you guys take bias judging in consideration? Yeah, a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, you know, like I say, think about it, Brady, right? If you were a judge, you know, and you're sitting cage side and you got a bunch of sheiks standing, you know, like sitting like 50 feet behind you, that could have you executed by the end of the day if they don't like you, you know, like are you kind of going to be a little bit safe and maybe judge for Al-Selwady or Abdelwahab? I know I would, man. I just want to get on the plane back home so that I could go eat steaks in Vegas, you know, with Ron McCarthy and Adelaide Bird and have some really good parties. Just, I mean, those guys must laugh so much. They got the best lives, dude.
They do. They
got the best lives. They're getting all this money under the table. They get to show up courtside, or they're sitting cage side for all these fights. They're getting a ton of money to do so. There's no consequences for bad work. Like they can never be fired. You know, it's wow. I really envy them.
It's a great job to have. No
great
consequences ever. It's crazy. Can we stop betting fat ass heavyweights? Yeah, I typically don't like.
Is there any other kind?
That's why I like betting.
Other than Jailton Almeida, they're all Parker Porter-esque.
Yeah, I like betting on Jailton Almeida. Let's see. Wait, what? Pogues needs an XXL toilet. The top toilet. The Lizzo. What? Let's see. It's gonna be could be maybe it's a draw, Weezy. Maybe we don't have to do either of our bets. Could be.
Yeah, that would. Whoever loses this bet is gonna get hurt. Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be terrible. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We have Bogdan Grad going against Lucas Alexander. We got Grad, 29 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. Lucas Alexander, 29 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. Same age there. It's going to be Alexander with a 3-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. Bogdan Grad is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Got knocked out against Tom Nolan on the Contender Series, and then came back against who was it on the Contender Series?
For Bogdan, it was why is it say Leonardo Morales? It was Aswell, Michael Aswell.
Michael Aswell, yes. And that fight was close. I thought Aswell won the fight, but it was competitive. As far as Lucas Alexander, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Knocked out Jacob Kilburn, got submitted by Joe Anderson Brito on short notice. Got a decision win against Steven Petersen, and lost to Jeka Sergei by knockout. So this was a fight that I'm really upset that I didn't look into. I had this one circled, saw the odds, saw Alexander at like plus 180, saw Bogdan Grad at like minus 210. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I was going to look into it. And then, like I said, I got sick. I started puking. I started shitting. And I don't know about you, Weezy. Well, you know this. You can't tape fights while you're puking and shitting. You just can't. You can't do it. So was not able to tape it. I wake up the next day. Oh, Lucas Alexander's plus 130. And then the next day comes around. Oh, he's minus 110. And he's currently minus 110. It looks like this line is going to flip. And yeah, I think skill for skill, Lucas Alexander is the much more skilled fighter. I think he's the much better striker. But I do worry about Alexander's cardio. I worry about his durability, his heart. Getting knocked out by Jeka Sergei is not the best look in the world. And I think that's why he did open up as a really big dog. But I don't think Bogdan Grad is all that. But what Grad does bring to the table is a lot of toughness, a lot of heart. He's going to fight for your money. He has good cardio. He's going to dish out a lot of volume. But boy, is he very, very hittable. So I like Alexander to win the fight, but I liked him a lot better at plus 180. That's a significant line move, and we've had a couple on this card. On this card, so I'm going to be passing on this one because I missed the line by an absolute mile. But I think it should be Alexander here, but it could be competitive. Maybe Grad can mix in some takedowns. Maybe he can have more success as the fight goes on. But I think skill for skill, Alexander's the better fighter. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I think it's Alexander early or Grad late. I think that this is going to be a great fight. I kind of look at, because it's a Saudi Arabia card, you want to kind of look at every fight in the context. Hey, this is going to happen in Riyadh, and Riyadh is very far from where a lot of these people live and train. So when we have these cards that are in Australia, that are in Dubai, that are in Saudi Arabia, that are in some places that are going to be a long trip for some people, you ask, why would Bogdan Grad and Lucas Alexander be fighting in Saudi Arabia? And I think the answer to that is because this fight's going to be a banger, and they want to impress the sheiks because the sheiks got piles of money, Brady. So you want to go out there and you want to give them a good look every time, because every time you come out there to Saudi Arabia or to Dubai or to Abu Dhabi to put on these fights, these guys are paying up. They're making it worth your while to bring your organization to their part of the world. And this guy Bogdan Grad's a really fun fighter. He's got good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He never moves his head, so he's like in there blocking punches with his face, but throwing back with really mean intentions. And Lucas Alexander is a really clean kickboxer. He's powerful. He throws a lot of volume. He's got great kicks. But like you said, dude, Alexander's durability, I worry about it. Alexander's conditioning, I worry about it. But I don't worry about Bogdan Grad's conditioning. I mean, like that fight against Michael Aswell would have, I mean, a lot of people would have barely been able to get up off the stool in the second round. You watch Grad in all of his regional scene competition, he's not even breathing heavy going into the third round, and he's always fighting at a high pace. Now, even Grad looked tired at the end of the Aswell fight, but come on, dude. Aswell had almost 400 significant strike attempts in that fight. So, you know, of course, Grad looked a little bit tired here, but I believe that there's a massive conditioning differential on the Grad side. And I think that Grad could win some minutes or moments with his grappling here. He's got a pretty good Brazilian jiu-jitsu game. I believe he's a brown belt. And he's got a 3-0 career record to the submission, does Grad, while Alexander has a 0-win and 3-loss career record to the submission. I think Alexander needs to keep this fight standing. I think Grad just needs to make it through about 7.5 or 8 minutes while putting a pace on Alexander. Make him defend a couple of takedowns. Don't really care whether he gets them or not. And put some pressure on him so that he can't just maintain range and pick you apart with his kicks from distance. I think Grad needs to make this a dirty fight, but I worry about Bogdan Grad's striking defense as well, dude. The Brady, this guy never moves his head. It's like hitting a heavy bag, you know? So I think Alexander's going to have a lot of success early, but I think if he doesn't get him out of there and Grad's still hanging around, I think Grad could get a late second round finish, a third round finish, maybe win the last 2 rounds of the fight and win a decision. This is going to be a fun fight, but I kind of feel like this line is where it needs to be right now. I'm going to pick Lucas Alexander to win a damage-based decision here, but this is probably not a fight I'm going to have any money on because I could see either guy winning, and I see holes in both guys' games that make me not want to back either guy with my money.
Yeah, I think what you said, like the line right now is where it should be, but yeah, this line has moved a ton. Alexander opened up plus 170. He's currently minus 110. Grad opened up minus 200. He's currently minus 110. I think that is about accurate there. The over-under, once again, is set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is minus 175. The under 1.5 is plus 145. I would lean over there, but yeah, nothing. I'm probably just going to sit back and pass on this fight, but I am upset I missed Alexander at like plus 170. That would have been nice. Would have had a ton of CLV nonetheless.
Yeah, and I like that over. The over 1.5 rounds at minus 175. I think that hits.
Yeah, I think that hits as well. All right, let's see here. Bogdan Grad, the walking punching bag. Yeah, he is.
Yep, that's for sure.
He is certainly the walking punching bag. Let's see here. Alexander sucks. He has terrible footwork. He's getting KO. I don't think he sucks at all. I think his durability kind of sucks a little bit, but I don't think he sucks. We got Dravi saying, "What's up, boys? Alexander season." So I'm guessing Dravi got in on Alexander on the week off.
I'm sure he did.
Probably a plus 170 there. Yeah, I'm jealous. I was gonna get on it too, but I was pissing and shitting and couldn't tape the fight. Almost bet it blind, but we got Avery with the 99.99. Shout out to Avery Marino, single-handedly keeping the show alive here. Sponsoring to us saying, all hell stat diggers. Last week's research paid my mortgage for 2 years. Gee.
Oh, let's go.
Crazy. Let's run it back again. Ass shaving. Let's go. Shout out to Avery Marino. Me, Avery, and Weezy will all be hanging out on Tuesday online, which should be fun. Heck yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Can't wait to talk to Avery in person, man. We've been meaning to get together on a call as our Stat Diggers sponsor, you know? I mean, we've had other sponsors in the past. Tajik Bey, our guy Dogfather sponsored the show. You know, we've had some really great sponsors, but Avery's been the man supporting the show. Can't wait to talk with him on Tuesday night.
Heck yeah, shout out to Avery. Let's see. Had RDR sub 1, Jonathan KO 1, Jiri KO 2, Rob Decision almost retired. Jeez. Welcome everyone coming into the show. Don't forget to hit the like button. Agreed. Shout out to Dixon. What is Bogdan's strength? I would say toughness, heart, conditioning.
And I would also say a very well-rounded skill set. He can offensively wrestle a little bit. He can get sweeps and submissions off his back, and he can knock you out on the feet. He's gonna bring a fight and he's going to be there for the full 3 rounds. The conditioning is excellent, and he's gutty. He's going to go out there and force you to fight. So, yeah, I think he's got a lot of. He's not phenomenal anywhere, in my opinion, other than conditioning and just like fighting spirit.
Yeah,
but he doesn't suck anywhere, in my opinion.
Besides getting hit in the face, that'd be the one.
The head movement. Yeah, he's got the head movement of a statue. But other than that, yeah.
The head movement of a statue is hilarious. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to this next fight, Weezy. We have Jasudavicius going against Mayra Bueno Silva. We got Jasudavicius, 35 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. Mayra Bueno Silva, 33 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. We have Silva, 2 years younger. It's going to be Jasmine with a 1-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Jasudavicius, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. A decision win against Miranda Maverick. Decision loss against Tracy Cortez. Submission win against Priscilla Cachoeira. Decision win against Fatima Klein. And then a submission win against Ariana De Silva. As far as Mayra Bueno Silva, she is 2-2 and 1 no contest in her last 5 fights. Submission win against Stephanie Ager. Submission win against Lena Landsberg. A submission win against Holly Holm got overturned to a no contest. A decision loss to Raquel Pennington. And then a TKO doctor stoppage against Macy Chiazon. And yeah, for me, this fight is very simple to break down. It's very binary in a sense that on the feet, Jasudavicius is a walking punching bag, has that Bogdan Grad type strike and defense, but it doesn't matter because she's very physically strong for the division. She can take down pretty much everybody in the division, and she'll have no problem taking down Mayra Bueno Silva, who literally wants to be on the ground. She will not even probably defend the takedown. So I'm seeing it as Jasmine's going to get takedown. She's going to get on top, and at that point, she needs to just fend off the submission attempts coming her way. Mayra Bueno Silva is going to throw up arm bars, probably roll for legs, so on and so forth. So I'm kind of thinking it's Jasudavicius by like a control-based decision, landing some ground and pound here or there. Or I think Mayra Bueno Silva is pretty much sub or bust here. I don't see her winning. I absolutely don't see her winning a decision. Probably don't see her winning a knockout because I don't think this fight is going to take place on the feet. I think, Silva is like armbar from guard or bust, which it could happen. She has a great armbar. She's dangerous, but I think the most likely scenario is Jasmine getting it done. And the odds are reflecting that because money is pouring in on Jasmine. She's currently minus 230. So don't know how I'm going to attack this yet, but the pick for me is Jasmine. I think she keeps the ball rolling here. I think she's very good fighter.
I think Jasudavicius is a phenomenal wrestler. Her body lock takedowns are excellent. If you try to take her down, there's a much, much bigger chance that Jasmine's going to wind up on top of you rather than you're going to wind up on top of Jasmine. She's so strong in the clinch. Her cage wrestling is so good. Her balance is really good. So, but here's the thing about Jasmine. This is an interesting fight because you say that Silva's only chance is winning with a submission, but I disagree with that because if this fight stays standing, Mayra Bueno Silva is winning.
Oh, I agree 120%.
Yeah. The problem is that neither one of these ladies' fights stays standing for that long. I think, let me look and see what the average control time. So about 59% of women's flyweight fights take place at distance striking range. For these ladies, it's only 48%. So they spend more time in control time positions than most of their peers do. So, and with Mayra Bueno Silva, you got somebody who's a phenomenal moment winner. You clinch up with Mayra Bueno, she can catch you with that ninja choke standing, or she can catch you with the armbar from guard if you're on top of her. In addition, Mayra can hurt you on the feet. She throws with reckless abandon. She's got some power, and she's the much better striker in comparison to Jasudavicius. But Jasmine does what she does. She can get takedowns whenever she wants them. That's going to be easy for her. What's not going to be easy is avoiding the submissions because Jasmine is going to need to get into the clinch in order to take down Mayra. That's going to put her at risk of being ninja choked. And Mayra Bueno Silva has a phenomenal standing ninja choke. She's finished 2 fights with that at the UFC level. or no, one at the UFC level, one on her Dana White Contender Series fight. I believe she finished by ninja choke. So Jasudavicius is going to have to take her down and then immediately get to half guard, and then just stay there. Stay there so that she can stay on top and win with some ground and pound and some top control. Stay safe from the submission attempts, because I kind of feel like that's the only place Jasmine's going to be safe here. I don't think she's going to be that safe in the clinch, because Mayra's very good in the clinch, and because you have to worry about the ninja choke. I don't think she's going to be safe at distance striking range, because I think Mayra Bueno Silva is better than her there. I think she's going to have to go into the danger zone, which is to grapple with Mayra Bueno Silva to win the minutes of this fight. And if she does that, that's where MBS is going to be live to snatch up a submission. So I find this to be a very fascinating fight. I'm going to look and see where MBS submission opens. And I even think the money line is probably the side, the plus 195 or so on Mayra Bueno Silva. But if there's anybody that can win this fight in the way that it needs to be won, Jasmine has the skill set to do that. 52% of her fights take place in control time positions. She outcontrols her opponents 48.6% to 3.5%. Jasmine is winning 93% of the control time positions in her fights. Her ground and pound is excellent, and she's finished 2 of her last 3 wins via the Darce choke. And since she's tall and long for the division, that's going to be a great submission for her. So big fan of Jasmine Jasudavicius. I think that she probably does win this fight. But if you're telling me, Wheezy, you got to bet somebody here, I think the value side is the underdog side, because Mayra has more than one path to victory. She keeps this fight standing and outstrikes her on the feet. That's a path to victory. And a submission with the ninja choke or with the armbar from guard is another path to victory.
Yeah, I'll definitely be taking a look at the Mayra Bueno Silva by sub prop. I think that's very alive. But she have five wins in the UFC, 4 subs.
4 subs and 5 wins, yeah. And her Dana White Contender Series fight was a ninja choke submission win as well. So,
and she said Holly Holm, but it didn't count, I guess.
They didn't even count, yeah, because she pissed hot for her ADD medication.
Mm-hmm.
Because they tell you, all right, if you're going to fight, this is when you get off of it. And, I think Mayra admitted, she's like, they told me to get off it on this date. I waited an extra 2 days because I forgot. And, so that she's really 6-4 with a draw, not 5-4 with a draw and no contest.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, looks like Jasmine opened at minus 250. She was sitting around minus 185. She's currently minus 230. Mayra Bueno Silva opened at plus 210, went to plus 160. She's currently sitting at plus 195. Some spots I'll be interested in is the Mayra Bueno Silva by sub and a finish only. The over is getting obliterated. Opened up minus 300, currently minus 340 there, which is interesting. But yeah, should be a very intriguing fight. Anywhere Jasmine goes, she's going to be in danger. We'll see if she can stay safe.
Yeah, it's a great fight. And I think that under is a little cheeky. I think it's a little bit fat at that number with Mayra Bueno Silva's submission upside. She's got a lot of power on the feet, and Jasmine's finishing fights now too late. So yeah, I think an under could be a good look this week.
Yeah, potentially. It's actually sickening. I had Jasmine Jasudavicius KO 2-3 against Priscilla Cachoeira at plus 2,000 and plus 3,000. The ref wouldn't stop the fight, and then so Jasmine had to sub her. And then against Ariana Silva, same thing, KO 2-3, and then she subs to Silva. De Silva's first submission loss ever. So that it hurts. But yeah, Jasmine is finishing fights, just not how I want her to finish them. Annoying.
Yeah, it's crazy that Jasudavicius submits De Silva and Karina Silva didn't.
Makes no sense.
Right?
It actually
the game we're playing, man. It gets wild sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Silva accepted bottom position the whole time against Rocky. Oh, I think she will, but yeah, she's very dangerous on the ground. Jazz opened up as a dog. I did not see that. That's crazy. It's crazy if so, because that line has been heavily in favor of Jasmine Jasudavicius. We got AJ in the building. What is up? Jasmine's been training in Thailand for this camp. Okay. I'm just picking the prettier one, which is Mayra Bueno Silva. That is true. Bueno Silva's a fraud. I don't know if she's a fraud.
Yeah, I don't think she's a fraud. I mean, she's a good fighter. She's had some tough fights, in this organization. The losses to Macy Chason, Raquel Pennington, Manon Firo. She's lost to some really good fighters.
Yeah, I don't think she's a fraud. All right, let's move on to this next fight. Another fight where there's been just a ton of line movement. Fares Ziam going against Mike Davis. We got Ziam, 27 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach. Mike Davis, 32 years old, 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. Ziam, 5 years younger, 1-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. Fares Ziam is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lost to Terrance McKinney by submission, beat Michael Figlak by decision, beat Jai Herbert by decision, beat Claudio Poyas by decision, then knocked out Matt Frevola. As far as Mike Davis, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Got submitted by Gilbert Burns, knocked out Thomas Gifford in the 3rd round, won a decision against Mason Jones, won a decision against Slava Borshev, and then submitted Natan Levy in the 2nd round. So, yeah, Mike Davis, Weezy, is coming off of an injury, but that is typically what happens with Mike Davis. This guy has to be the most injury-prone fighter in UFC history. Like, it's crazy, and it's sad because this guy is so good. We talk about it every time. This guy's the real deal. He's a black belt in BJJ, has a wrestling background, has incredible striking, great power, great durability. Mike Davis is the full package other than he just never fights because he can't, because he's hurt all the time. I mean, look at his last 5. Like, that Gilbert Burns fight was how long? Like, almost 7 years ago at this point. It's crazy. I'll never forget the Thomas Gifford fight where did they arrest that referee yet, Weezy? Did they arrest him yet? That was a bigger beatdown than the Saint Denis fight. Is Thomas Gifford okay? Has anybody checked on Thomas Gifford? Like, I'm worried about him.
Dude, that guy submitted what's his name twice, Trey Ogden, didn't he? He submitted him twice, not once but twice. And then Mike Davis was like, how dare you do that to my son? And he just beat 7 shades of shit out of him, man. That was hard to watch. One of the worst one-sided beatdowns I've ever seen. Yeah, and it wound up getting stopped, but my God, was it late?
Way too late, and the stop, which was brutal. Thomas Gifford fell face down into the canvas. Oh gosh, I can't get it out of my head. I actually went back and watched it because it was actually kind of fun. It was hard to watch, but it was a fun fight. It was a fun fight. So yeah, Mike Davis. Anytime this guy fights, I'm excited about it. I'm a big fan of the dude. We don't get to see him fight often, but when we do, he does typically do very well. So these odds are interesting. So Mike Davis was sitting around like -260, -240 last week. And then all of a sudden, money just came in on Fares Ziam. Ziam was like +210. And currently, Ziam is sitting at +120. So this line has moved significantly. And why is that? Well, I think, Fares Ziam looked the best he ever had in his last fight against Matt Frevola. It was completely one-sided. The fight wasn't remotely close the entire time. And then he brutally knocked him out in the 3rd round. And then I also think that it might be because Mike Davis is coming off of a little bit of a layoff, a big injury, but he typically is coming off of that. But yeah, in terms of this fight, I just feel like Mike Davis has more ways to win the fight. I think he can hang in the striking with Ziam, but I think the bigger path would be taking Ziam down. Like, it wasn't too long ago where, and this was wild to me, Claudio Poyas took down Fares Ziam 8 times. Like, if Claudio Poyas is taking it down, somebody like Mike Davis, I think, can as well. And it's also not too long ago where Terrance McKinney took him down and insta-subbed him as well. So I think Mike Davis might get this fight down to the mat, use that black belt, and win minutes down there. But yeah, this line is closed up quite a bit. So Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so Fares is still only 27 years old, Brady. This guy was like a K1 champ when he was like 19 or 20 years old. So we always knew that he had the striking. And God, is he so clean on the feet. Like striking coaches, their mouths water when they watch this guy. The jab, it's fast and it always comes right back to his chin. I mean, Fares is countering literally every strike that comes his way. He's got something coming right back to his opponent. He's fairly low volume, but he makes his opponents even lower volume with the accuracy and the persistence of his counter striking. He does a great job managing range, and he's had a couple of really eye-opening performances. The Michael Figlak performance after losing to McKinney, to go out there and out-grapple Figlak the way that he did, go out there and initiate the takedowns. That was a real eye-opening performance. And then the most recent one, because it is another one, right? I remember saying a couple of times, betting a couple Ferris Ziam unders, where I was like, he's gonna get knockouts eventually. He's gonna get knockouts eventually. This guy's striking is too clean. He's too accurate.
I don't think the under hit there though, Weezy.
Yeah, but the fight doesn't go would have hit. But like, you're saying like that the guy's gonna find a knockout, and then just before that, Frivola goes out there against one of the most durable guys who hits extremely hard in Drew Dober, and he knocks out Drew Dober, who had never been knocked out. And it was like, holy shit, Frivola's durability's back. He's ready to go. And then he gets knocked out by pillow fist Ferris Ziam in the third round. I was like, this is crazy. Like, how the hell did that happen? Nobody had Ferris Ziam beating Frivola by KO, and he did it. But this kid is clearly a really good fighter that is getting, he's working on that grappling side of his game. It's starting to show that he can hold his own, stuff some takedowns, even, win some minutes with some wrestling of his own. But Davis is a phenomenal talent. This guy, like a Golden Gloves champion, Brady, professional boxer, I think at one point. This guy's like a New York wrestler who either went downstate or won state, Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, natural athlete. He just doesn't like fighting, and most people would never admit that, because I'll bet you there's a lot of fighters, a lot of them that we would never think, or having nervous breakdowns before a fight saying that they don't want to fight. I'm sure it happens all the time. For every one Tom Breeze that actually doesn't make the walk on fight night, there's 10 others that are thinking of not making that walk because, frankly, you got to have a screw loose. Who wants to go out there in an underwear and fight another grown killer in a cage in their underwear in front of 10,000 screaming drunk fans? You'd have to be crazy, right? So Davis is one of these guys who openly admits, I don't want to do this. I'm just really good at it, And I find the honesty kind of refreshing because, like I say, you got to be out of your mind to do this for a living. So, here he is. What was it, Brady? Torn bicep, torn tricep, something like a serious injury.
Yeah,
that he had to pull out of a fight with after the Levy fight. He got hurt, and I don't remember if it was in the Levy fight or if it was shortly thereafter where he had to pull out of another fight. But it's a serious injury.
Yeah, bicep, I think.
Bicep, yeah. So maybe that's why we've seen a lot of money come in on Ziam. Originally of Algerian descent, so he's going to be a guy that the Sheiks will be rooting for. It's a great fight, dude. It's an extremely high level fight. I'm ready to watch anytime Mike Davis steps in that cage because the guy has just got the skill set that you love to see for MMA. He can obviously strike, he can obviously wrestle, he could submit you, and he's got the athletic ability to put it all together. And when this guy does that, he wins in dominant fashion. So I don't have a pick for this fight yet. I still need to look into it a lot more, but I can't wait for this fight.
Yeah, me as well. That you probably don't know the meme, but they have a meme on SpongeBob. This guy just keeps getting hurt. Looks like this. That kind of reminds me of Mike Davis.
Okay,
like
yeah,
bandage from head to toe. Like that's Mike Davis.
Yeah, he's had a lot of bad luck with injuries, and I think that he would have been a more active fighter because you look at his career, it's 13 fights, but he's been fighting as a pro for almost 10 years. He's just not fighting. He's not active enough.
Yeah. Davis by any way he wants. Yeah, I think the wrestling's a good path there. I wish Mike Davis fought more often. Me too. Yeah. Davis inactivity scares me, but he's better everywhere in my opinion. Ziam is building steam. He is. I remember I had the sub prop for Claudio Poyas against Ziam. I couldn't believe it didn't hit because Poyas took him down 7 times. So yeah, maybe I might take a look at like Davis by submission because Ziam has been submitted a lot still. Three, four?
3 times. Yeah, 3
times.
times as a professional.
Oh, what else we got here? I'm a huge Ziam hater, but in this fight, he's an easy money all day. Well, hopefully he got in early because that plus money is drying up. He was plus 200 at one point. Tom Breeze is the dollar. Yeah, they look similar. Breeze and Strickland.
Yeah, they're mental opposites.
Oh,
like you could call Sean Strickland, at 6 a.m. in the morning and be like, I got to fight for you in a half an hour. You wouldn't even have to tell him who he's fighting. He'd show up in his gear ready to go. Breeze, you got to put him on a cart and strap him down to make sure that you actually get him into the cage without him running away.
Right. Terrance made the sub look so easy against Fares round 1, but that was a while ago. 2022, a couple years.
Yeah, and Fares is still only 27 years old.
He's working on it. He's working on it. But yeah, should be interesting. All right, moving on to the next fight. It is Terrance McKinney going against Damir Hadzovic. We have McKinney, 30 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. Hadzovic, 38 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. McKinney, 8 years younger, a 1-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. McKinney is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Knockout loss against Ismail Bonfim, submission loss against Nazim Sadikov, knockout win against Mike Breeden, knockout win against Brandon Moret, and then a knockout loss against Esteban Ribovics. As far as Hadzovic, he's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, a knockout win against Polo Reyes, decision loss against Christos Giagos, a submission loss against Hanato Moicano, decision win against Yancy Medeiros, and then a decision loss against Mark Diakese. So we have not seen Damir Hadzovic in the cage for about 2.5 years. And I like what the UFC is doing here. They have Terrance McKinney, who is a fun and exciting fighter. And they're saying, hey, Terrance McKinney, brutally knocked out in his last fight. Let's get him back in there in the win column. And they're giving him, is this the easiest matchup they could possibly give McKinney, like, at this moment? Like, in terms of guys currently on the roster, like, Damir Hadzovic has the worst takedown defense in the UFC, no ground game. I think it's pretty simple. Terrance McKinney takes him down and submits him shortly after. The worry, though, and there's a lot of worries still. There's a lot of worries with McKinney. Let's go over them. The cardio, non-existent. The durability, non-existent. The heart, non-existent. The fight IQ, we'll have to see, because he needs the fight IQ here. He's not going to want to go out there and strike and stand and bang with Hadzovic. If he does that, could he still win? Yes. But, geez, you're giving Hadzovic his one path. Take this guy down. He falls over anytime the wind blows and sub him. So I think McKinney should win this fight. But when we're talking about Terrance McKinney and laying like minus 400, 450, it's something I'm not interested in, but there are some other ways I'll be attacking this fight. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this one here?
All right, you ready for this, Brady?
Yeah.
You're probably never going to hear like this come out of my mouth on this show ever, but I don't even think minus 400 is wide enough.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I understand all the things that could go wrong here. Believe me, I've bet on Terrance McKinney in fights that he's not just lost, but lost spectacularly, So, I mean, but how does Hadzovic win this fight? I mean, he's not surviving 2 minutes with Terrance McKinney. I think McKinney either punts his head into the cheap seats in the first 30 seconds, or he just takes him down, gets to the dude's back, and chokes him out, just like Hanato Moicano did. Hadzovic has not fought in 2.5 years. He's 38 years old. And when he was 35, he had the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. Ever. I don't know about anybody that folded like a lawn chair more than Damir Hadzovic. Like the only guys that would have been easier to take down were like the jiu-jitsu guys who were just begging to be on their backs. And believe me, that's not Damir Hadzovic. This guy is the type of fighter where the ground is lava. He does not want to be there. And he winds up there all the time because his takedown defense is 35%. And he gets out-controlled by his opponents 44% to 8%. He only wins 15% of the control time positions in his fights. And his fights spend more than 50% of his cage time in control time positions. So this is about as easy of a matchup as Terrance McKinney is going to see. I don't know if there's an easier fight in the UFC's lightweight division right now than Damir Hadzovic, a 38-year-old fighter with no ground game and no submission defense, who is on a 2.5-year layoff. And, like, we've just seen this guy out there against people that have been absolutely drowning him on the mat. D1 Diakese just controls him for like 13 out of the 15 minutes. Renato Moicano takes him down, gets his back and insta-subs him, and then gets in his face and says, I wanted to fight longer. He was mad at Damir for Damir letting him sub him in like 60 seconds. That's how bad Damir's ground game is, Brady. He's so easy to submit that people that beat him bitch at him for being too easy to submit in a sport where you're trying to submit your opponent. You're trying to get a bonus. And Moicano was like, you were too big of a bitch, that you were too easy to submit. I mean, you never see that, It reminds me of, oh, God damn, back in the day, Matt Hughes fought Royce Gracie, and it was a big rematch years after they had originally fought, and Hughes went out there and just beat the brakes off of him. And in the post-fight interview, he said, I thought he would have more for me. I was just expecting so much more. And that was what Renato Moicano was expecting. And if you're looking for resistance in the grappling, don't look at Damir Hadzovic, because you're not going to get any. So, yeah, man, I think Terrance round one. I mean, I think it's a round one sub. I think it's very easy.
Yep. Hopefully he makes it look easy. Hopefully he doesn't go out there and try to swing dicks. Which, like I said, I think he could still win that, but geez, just take him down.
Yeah. And Terrance is like a very good wrestler, like elite high school wrestler, great athlete, fast. But he's got a legit wrestling background. So,
oh yeah, he does. He can wrestle, he can grapple. He just can't do it for more than 5 minutes. So hopefully it is in round one. McKinney opened up minus 353, currently minus 383. Hadzovic opened up plus 280, currently plus 330. The over under set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is plus 185. The under 1.5 is minus 225 there. McKinney could be the champ in GFL. He could be. McKinney can't win. His eyes are too small. They look like dots. I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine here, though.
His eyes are too small.
Never heard that. I guess McKinney's going to win, but I would not trust him even a single hair drop from my balls. Jeez.
It's hard to trust Terrance McKinney. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is. I would love to see Terrance get a win so the UFC keeps him around. Same. And I think this is a fight he should not be losing to Damir Hadzovic. That's for sure. All right, let's keep moving on. We have Shamil Gaziev going against Thomas Petersen. We have Gaziev, 34 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach. Thomas Petersen, 29 years old, 6'1", with a 74-inch reach. Petersen, 5 years younger. Gaziev with a 3-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. Shamil Gaziev is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Submission win on the Contender Series against Greg Velasco. A knockout win in the second round against Martin Budai. 4th round knockout loss to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And then a decision win against Dontel Mays. As far as Thomas Petersen, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Jamal Pogues. Lost that fight by decision. Prior to that, a submission win against Chandler Cole on the Contender Series. And then a decision win in his last fight against Muhammad Usman. Yeah, this is a pretty disgusting fight, in my opinion, especially when we take a look at the odds and we see Shamil Gaziev as minus 400. I just don't see myself having any action or really any interest in this fight whatsoever. So, Weezy, help me out. And do you have any interest in this fight?
I mean, I have interest in watching it. I just, I wrote this fight up. I fully researched it, fully taped it. And yeah, I'm picking Gaziev. I'm picking him to win early by KO. But boy, if he doesn't get Thomas out of there, it's going to get hairy because Shamil's cardio is god awful.
Oh,
It's so bad, dude. So, Petersen. Here's the interesting thing, right? Because Shamil will wrestle, but I don't know if he's a better wrestler than Thomas. Thomas has been wrestling since he was 3 years old. Okay, this guy's a 2-time Minnesota high school state champion. This guy is a national champion NAIA wrestler at Iowa Central. He wrestled, I believe, 1 year at North Dakota State University, which I believe is D1. So he's a very, very good wrestler. I don't know if Shamil wants to wrestle with this dude, but Shamil does have more power on the feet. He's definitely the more explosive fighter. And I think early in the fight, especially for the first half of the fight, Shamil is just going to be a lot more dangerous. If he gets on top, he's going to be a lot more dangerous while this fight is at distance striking range. But Petersen, if he can hang around, if he can get a takedown, if he winds up getting on top of Gaziev, that could be a big, big deal here because Thomas has got excellent ground and pound. He's got very good wrestling, and he can knock you out on the ground. I mean, the guy has got heavy hands, and he's just been wrestling a lot longer than Shamil has. People will be like, oh, but Shamil's Dagestani. Guys, he's not a wrestler. He's an MMA wrestler, but this guy was on the volleyball team in Dagestan. I mean, like, he trained at Nurmagomedov's gym, but he took a 10-year absence from any kind of fighting. And in that 10 years, this kid Petersen's winning state twice. He's winning a national championship at Iowa Central. This guy's been wrestling the entire time, so I'm worried about laying this kind of juice on Gaziev for a couple of different reasons. A, I don't know if he's the better wrestler. B, what happens if this fight gets out of the first round? I think that Thomas might win the second and third rounds here. And Thomas's striking isn't bad. Like I said, we talked about that Pogues fight earlier when we were breaking down the Pogues Abdelwahab fight. Pogues barely outstruck him. And then we saw Petersen go out there and outstrike Muhammad Usman at range, get a couple of takedowns in that fight. So I think Petersen's striking is serviceable. It's not terrible, but I think Gaziev is just going to be a lot more dangerous earlier in this fight. But the conditioning is bad. And what happens if Gaziev is at a big wrestling disadvantage here? I think that's a very real possibility. It's an interesting fight, man. There's no chance in hell that I'm laying minus 370 on Shamil Gaziev. But Thomas Petersen traveling all the way to Saudi Arabia to fight a guy that trains in Bahrain and is Muslim, I mean, that's a tough row to hoe, Brady, for the young man Thomas Petersen to go all the way to Saudi Arabia and beat this Gaziev guy who had, a main event in his second UFC fight against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who's an absolute killer. And Shamil won the first round of that fight. Then he gassed out.
Yeah, if only fights were one round, this guy would be good, man. Yeah, this guy would be pretty.
Him and McKinney,
yeah,
there'd be two champions fighting on this card with Shamil Gaziev and Terrance McKinney.
Yeah, but I believe this fight's scheduled for 3, right?
It is scheduled for 3, Brady.
So
they did that to him, yeah.
So I'm not laying minus 400, but I think I guess you pick him. I got to pick him to win, but this line just kind of crazy to me. You open at minus 300. He's currently minus 370. Thomas Petersen opened up plus 250, currently plus 305. So the over-under is interesting. Like, the over is minus 190. The under is plus 160. Like, if you're thinking it's Gaziev early, the under at plus 160, a lot better than his money line, right?
Yeah. We've seen Petersen knocked out before. We've seen him hurt before. He's not the best striker, but like I say, look at Gaziev's distance striking defense, dude. It's 44%.
Yeah, he's
awful.
He's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful, man. I mean, there's a lot of holes in this dude's game. I mean, he's explosive early, but there are paths to Petersen here, and if they keep juicing this line, I might have to just put some money on Petersen because I know that the second and third rounds are going to be hairy for Gaziev, as hairy as his chest if this thing gets out of the first. And that's hairy, my friend. And that beard of his It looks fake.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, who has a beard that thick and lustrous? This guy has got a feature. You'd be like, he could do like, beard modeling in the Muslim world. I mean, like this guy's putting, like the Muslims have got some great beards, Brady. This dude, Gaziev's putting them all to shame.
Yeah. He has probably some good beard oil, some good beard things you can put on.
Yeah, man. I mean, like this guy is not a candy ass. You see a lot of guys in this country, these beta males trying to grow beards, and it just looks absolutely awful. They should all have to spend some time with Shamil Gaziev because they would just shave those shitty ass nanny goat facial hair beards that they have, because this is a beard, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
It looks so
impregnates ladies just by looking at them.
It's like drawn on.
It's terrifying is what it is.
Yeah. Then there's that chest hair and the belly hair. You don't see the belly hair not too often.
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, Shamil's special.
Yeah. Sometimes you see the back hair. I don't really see the belly hair that much. But yeah, it's an interesting fight, certainly. Who's the better cardio, Shamil or Terrance? I don't know, dude. They're both so bad. At least Shamil's been able to go into a 4th round, actually. So,
I mean, he went into the 4th round.
It was so bad. He was
trying to quit after the 2nd, after the 3rd, and after the 4th, he went back to his corner, and he was just like the you could tell the translator was like, he's like, I can't see. And the corner's like, your eye looks fine.
Your eye's fine.
And you can see he just kept pointing to his eye. He's talking in Russian. I don't know what he's saying, but he was like, get me the hell out of here. This guy won't stop jabbing me. And I'm exhausted, dude.
Oh, Petersen's a natural welterweight. What do you think? Is Gaziev a natural featherweight, you think?
No, dude. Gaziev's 6'4", man. If that dude made featherweight, it would be, oh boy. I mean, just the beard weighs 80 pounds. I mean, come on, man.
Is he really 6'4" though?
He is, dude. I think he is. He's a big heavyweight, dude. And plus, volleyball players, man. Volleyball players have got to be tall. He's legit 6'4".
So he's not lying like Rozenstruik then.
No. Okay. Because remember, those two fought, and you will see that Gaziev was a good 4 inches taller than him.
I didn't even notice it. Somebody commented a heart eyes under his picture. Who did? What do you do? Somebody carving out heart eyes.
We know Priscilla Souza's type, don't we?
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. I would love to see Gaziev versus Lewis match. Yeah, that'd be a fun fight. Remember the UFC fighter that only shaved half his chest and drew an arrow on his chest?
Yes, that was
his name?
Oh, it was the arrow pointing up.
Yeah, what was his name?
Dude had gills. I remember, like, I've seen him in chokes where Joe Rogan was like, this guy has got gills. I don't know how he's breathing. Oh, man. Ebersol? Brian Ebersol, I want to say.
Brian Ebersol. I don't know how to spell it, dude. There it is. Yes. Yes, Ebersol.
Yeah, he's a good fighter.
Nailed it. What is Shamil's ceiling? Well, right now we were
10 heavyweight.
Yeah, well, I mean he's ranked 14th right now, which I think is hilarious. But it could be top 10.
Yeah, top dude. 10. I mean, like the guy got a main event fight in his 2nd UFC fight against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. He can wrestle. He's got legit power in both hands, and he can give you hell for 6.5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What is that? Oh my gosh.
He's got a head on him, man.
Yeah, you're not knocking that guy out, huh?
Just an absolute Easter Island statue of a head.
Ooh, some conditioning. You like to see that if you're on the Shamil side at minus 400.
You're not going to show him puke after like 30 seconds of a jog.
Head's in the trash can. Oh, let's see. What is this? What is that? Is he pulling Shamil with a band? Or is Shamil pulling him?
Let's see.
What is that? Some
This
ground
is
and
some
pound?
weird sex thing, is it?
Is the Why would you post this, Shamil?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh.
Oh, it's conditioning. Okay, good.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
God. I
Oh,
was
wow.
getting freaked out the way that was starting, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dude, we're about to get canceled.
Almost got the channel banned. What else we got here? Nothing. He's riding. They let him on a horse. What? Isn't there a weight limit?
What they didn't show is how it took like 12 people to hold that horse. It was like, you're not letting this guy on me, you know?
Usually there's like a weight limit for the horses. Oh, he looks very handsome there. That's a nice shirt.
Boy,
like
that is a handsome picture right there. Boy,
That's
there's a lot of women right now that are creaming their panties looking at that one. Whoa.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. There he is at the pool.
That's KHK Bahrain, baby. Bahrain, stand up.
Heck yeah. So yeah, it should be an interesting fight.
It'll be a fun one, I think. You know, if Thomas Petersen goes to Riyadh and beats this dude, it's going to be a huge feather in his cap.
Be crazy. Petersen's gym is coming with some momentum, so he's at Spartan still.
I don't know, man. Like I think he was at Spartan. He was at another place called Work. Let me look and see where they have him right now. They still got him at Spartan MMA over on Tapology.
Poor horse, animal. Yeah, we got to call somebody. I mean, that's not cool. All right, let's move on to this next fight, Weezy. We have Mohammed Naimov going against Kaan Ofli. We got Naimov, 30 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Kaan Ofli, 31 years old, 5'6" with a 64-inch reach. Naimov 1 year younger, 3-inch height advantage, and a 6-inch reach advantage. Naimov is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He had a knockout win against Jamie Malarkey on short notice in the second round, a decision win against Nathaniel Wood, a knockout win against that bum, Eric Silva, and then a submission loss to Felipe Lima in the third round. As far as Kaan Ofli, he fought Marian Santos in the Ultimate Fighter finale and lost that fight by second round knockout. Prior to that, in the Tough House, he did have 2 really good performances. I think he had a decision win, and then he had an early submission win. But that Santos fight, I don't know if it was like the jitters or what, but that was just an atrocious performance. Had nothing for Santos on the feet. It was completely one-sided. It didn't really try to wrestle that much. I think it maybe went for 2 takedowns, didn't get them. Just was a really bad performance. Ended up getting knocked out in the second round. And yeah, he's taking on Naimov here. Is this a short notice fight? Do you know?
No.
It's not.
No, it's weird. Not, because, you know, they're getting Naimov on the card because he's from Tajikistan, but Kaan Ofli is Australian, but he's of Turkish origin. So I think they're just giving him a shot here because he might have some support in that part of the world there. You know, and maybe they're just trying to get Naimov a win. I don't know what the story is here, but it's odd that Ofli has a contract after he's fighting before Myron Santos, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. And he got brutal. Like, that was a brutal, scary knockout.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know why they signed this kid.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Naimov. I think his minute winning is not great. He's getting outstruck in a lot of fights, but he does have a lot of power. Yeah, I think it's a good matchup for him. Ofli's gonna try to wrestle, you would think. But on the feet, it should be Naimov. I like Naimov. It's just, you know, when you want to bet Naimov, you typically want to bet him as an underdog. He's came through I think you even bet him as an underdog, right? Against Malarkey as like a massive one.
Dude, I cashed on him against Malarkey. I cashed on him against Wood. I cashed on him against Silva. I parlayed him against Silva because I think Silva's awful.
Yeah,
And then even like the Felipe Lima fight, I bet on Naimov simply because like they were making that fight a pick'em, and like Lima had that fight on less than a week's notice, and he had to fly to Abu Dhabi, jitters, weight cut, all that shit. I was like, dude, I'm taking Naimov here, but he got caught in the third round there. It was a close fight up to that point.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, I'm going Naimov here. Does Naimov have a lot of finishing equity? I would lean towards a finish here potentially. That's typically what he does. I think he did win a decision against Wood, but he did hurt Wood there, kind of leaned in like a Naimov knockout. But I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy. You are, though. You've made a lot of money on him. I made money on him against Eric Silva, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those clicks where I was like, dude, I mean, like Jamie Malarkey's minus 700. This is not right. You know, it's like one of those clicks. Like, I'm just making the damn click, and it paid off. But yeah, this one, I mean, like, yeah, like you said, dude, I mean, like Naimov's fine to bet as an underdog or a pick 'em, but minus 300 on this guy, questionable cardio. The wrestling's, you know, he's okay everywhere. He's nothing special. So yeah, I wouldn't lay that on him. And the thing about Ofli is he looked so good in the house.
Yeah.
He beat Nathan Fletcher. That was a really good performance. And then Rody Rhodes, I believe, was the second win. He was the first pick of the team that drafted him. So he's a good fighter too. And he won that fight. So I kind of thought he was going to beat Myron Santos. I think I picked Kaan Ofli to win. But that was a card where I remember I missed like half the cards. So I actually never saw the Ofli knockout, but I remember hearing like, ooh, players up for Kaan Ofli. It didn't look good.
Fold him like a lawn chair. Like when you say fold like a lawn chair, that's what it was. It was
yeah, and that kid Santos has got real power too.
It was bad. So the over under set at 2.5. I don't mind like the under at plus 160. The over is minus 200. Like Naimov, he hits very, very hard. I think he's finished all but one of his wins. So yeah, I don't mind like an under potentially, but that'd be about it for me. I'm not laying minus 260 on this guy.
Yeah, agreed, dude. This is the only fight on the card that I'm like, I don't know. It makes no sense, and I don't know why they're doing this.
Yeah, that's why I thought it might have been short notice, but I guess not. Interesting.
Yeah, they made that fight.
Everyone hates Naimov now. I don't think I hate him.
I don't hate him. He made me too much money for me to hate him.
Exactly, especially that Jamie Malarkey fight. I did think he straight up quit against Lima's weird sequence there, but he'll bounce back here, I think. Who the hell is Kaan Ofli? Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Ooh!
that Santos KO was so slick but brutal. Oh, it was nasty. It was hard to watch. Can we answer this? Yeah, I think he does. He's dangerous. I'll forever hate Naimov after he cheated Wood. Oh, he does cheat quite a bit as well. Got it back in blood with Lima 2-3. Man, I was pissed. I remember the whole MMA community bet Lima 2-3. I was, and me and you were just sitting there like, what?
I said that I went out and I said, like, these people that are betting Lima sub 3 are morons. Like, I felt like an asshole afterwards, but I was like, dude, how are you taking somebody to win in round 3 when they're taking the fight on short notice? You know, short notice, weight cut, nerves, adrenaline. I mean, like all those things that go in with a short notice debut in the UFC. You don't see those guys getting third round submissions, and everybody was on that bet. And not only did they all cash, they all made me look like a prick because I was like, there's no way this is happening. We could be wrong sometimes and spectacularly wrong. And that was one of the times that I was.
That's for sure. All right. Let's keep moving on to the next fight. So we unfortunately lost Aliskerov Muniz, but they did say that they're going to be rescheduling that. So we'll get to watch it eventually. Just not Saturday. What we will be watching, though, is Syed Nurmagomedov going against Vinicius Oliveira. Very fun fight here. We got Nurmagomedov, 32 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. Oliveira, 29 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Oliveira, 3 years younger. He's going to have a 1-inch height advantage. Got the same reach there between the two. Syed Nurmagomedov, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Submission win against Cody Stamann. Decision win against Douglas Silva de Andrade, submission win against Said Yakub Kakramanov, decision loss against Jonathan Martinez, and then a submission win against Moin Gafurov. As far as Vinicius Oliveira, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Bernardo Sopai, won that fight by third round knockout, and then beats Ricky Simón by decision in his last fight there. So this is a weird one for me because I'm just not really sure where Vinicius Oliveira is at this moment. I'm not sure how good this guy really is. There's obviously a ton of hype starting to build on him. He had that viral knockout, one of the best knockouts I've ever seen against Bernardo Sopai. But prior to that, he was getting his ass whooped for 8.5 minutes. So it's like, I don't know. And then he beat Ricky Simón but Ricky Simón just looks completely washed at this point. I think this fight is going to tell us a lot about Vinicius Oliveira and where he's at, because Said Nurmagomedov is a very good fighter. I think he's very dangerous wherever the fight goes, has that submission game, those front chokes, has a ton of power, spinning back shit. So yeah, it should be a fun fight here. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Awesome fight. And don't think of this as a road fight for Vinicius Oliveira. Oliveira is the former UAE Warriors bantamweight champion. He's fought most of his career in the UAE. They love him there. Like, if one of my favorite things when Vinicius Oliveira fights, whether it's the Sopai fight, whether it was the Simon fight, is getting to research him and going back and watching the Ali Taleb fight in UAE Warriors. Now, he had already won the bantamweight championship versus Xavier Alaoui. He defended it versus Chip Fumwu, and then he's going to defend it again versus Ali Taleb. And if you haven't watched that fight, go to UFC Fight Pass. It's available there, and watch that fight. It's absolute pandemonium. The announcers are losing their mind. There's knockdowns in every round, and every time there's a knockdown, all four announcers are screaming into their microphones at the same time. You will wake up everybody in your house if you watch this thing at 3 o'clock in the morning. Ask my girlfriend, like, she'll be like, what the fuck is, she'll come out and be like, what is going on out here? And I was watching the Ali Taleb fight because the announcers are losing their mind in every round. So Oliveira is a dick swinger. He goes out there. He trusts his durability. He throws wide hooks. He loves to get into the pocket and just drag you into a war. He's not particularly technical. He's not going to win a lot of minutes in the grappling exchanges. He's got solid takedown defense and a good get-up game when he does get taken down. And he's just looking to take your head off. I mean, this guy's 21-3 as a pro. He's been knocked out in all 3 of his losses, and he's finished 18 of his 21 wins. So Vinicius just brings a fight. And Said Nurmagomedov, somebody who has excellent finishing instincts, he's finished 5 of his 7 UFC wins. His ninja choke is one of the most dangerous submissions that any fighter has in any weight class in the UFC. I mean, Said puts that ninja choke on you, the fight is going to be probably over shortly thereafter. He's also got amazing spinning attacks at range, and he's got great power. And if he clips you, he will finish you when he swarms in. So I love the unders here, Brady. The bookies got it right when they opened it. They opened the under 2.5 rounds at -155. I was considering betting it. Then I finished taping this fight around 2:30 in the morning. I went to go look at the line, and the under was no longer -155. It had moved to +155, and I couldn't believe it. Both of these guys are amazing finishers. Vinicius has been knocked out in all 3 of his losses, and while Said Nurmagomedov's never been finished as a professional, Vinicius Oliveira can finish anybody if he touches you just once the right way. I mean, we saw the jump knee against Sopai. We saw that knockout over poor Victor Madrigal on DWCS. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, like, he put his lights out with a left hook there. That was just nasty. So I love the unders here, Brady. I love the unders. +155, I think, is a gigantic mistake. I don't know who's like looking to keep their butthole clenched for 12.5 minutes in a Vinicius Oliveira fight, betting an over. And I know both of his fights thus far in the UFC have went over, but go and watch those fights. They almost finish in every damn round. And then Said Nurmagomedov is very dangerous on offense. If this thing gets into the clinch at any point, he could snatch up a ninja choke. And Said's spinning shit can shut off your liver. Vinicius Oliveira's low leg kicks with those neuro-ass skinny legs of Said Nurmagomedov. Dude, I could see finishes in a number of different ways in this fight. So I've got a 1.5 on the under 2.5 rounds at +155 here. And I think Said's the better striker, Brady. He's definitely fought the better brand of competition as a professional. And I think he's the better grappler as well, because I think that ninja choke it makes him the more likely moment winner. And I think he's the more likely guy to attempt takedowns and win some minutes on the ground with top control as well. So I like Saeed to win the fight. I think he's going to finish Vinicius Oliveira. I think he probably does it by the second round.
Yeah, I like the over, and I also like the over in the McKinney fight as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be probably betting the under in the McKinney fight, and I have already bet the under here. But this is going to be such a great fight, dude. This guy Vinicius, dude, he brings it. Hands down, taunting his opponents. He's a fun guy to watch, and he's just really exciting, and he's going to make his opponents fight. So I think that this is going to be a really fun one. Said Nurmagomedov has only fought once in like the last 2 years, and he's pulled out of 3 fights in that time.
Yeah, no, it sounds like we're seeing the fight the exact same way. So that's good. Nurmagomedov opened up minus 300, currently minus 170. Oliveira opened up plus 250, currently plus 145. And yeah, a lot of movement on that total. A lot of movement. Opened up minus 155. It's currently plus 155, which is very interesting for that under. But yeah, I'm seeing it the exact same way. I think that Nurmagomedov is the most dangerous Nurmagomedov out there. This guy finishes fights. He can knock you out with that spinning back shit. He can submit you with that ninja choke. So I think he's live for a finish. And then, like you said, Oliveira was it close to a 90% finish rate. It has to be, right?
Yeah, dude, the guy's got an 86% finish rate, 18 of 21.
Yep. So, and yeah, he's kill or be killed style. So I like it. Oh yeah, spinning. Gotta love that spinning back. Some people can pull it off. Like Syed Nurmagomedov, he can pull it off. Josh Parisian, not so much.
Yeah,
Chris Barnett, sometimes, but he got hurt last time.
He did it to Fat Volante.
He did.
The invitation's still open to Chris Barnett and Fat Volante for the Ass Fighting League, sponsored by your Uncle Weezy and Brady. What were we going to call it? Washed up? Washed up fighting, or the woof? We were going to call it the woo. Yeah, washed up. The woo, W-U.
Okay.
And yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, if our lawyers can, make sure that Raekwon, the chef, and the rest of the crew doesn't sue us for that, I think we've got it, dude. I think we've got it. I mean, look at the GFL. All these bums that they're signing, but here's the difference, right?
Yeah.
They're signing washed up bums that used to be good. We're signing washed up bums that were always bums. They always will be bums. And they're going to put on entertaining fights for us. That's why our business model is going to work. We're going to make this work, you guys. And you know what, Brady? With or without them, they can get on board with us now if they want, or they can get left behind in the dust while we're making millions, laughing our asses off, watching Fat Volante kick the shit out of Fat Collier as a main event somewhere in Dubai or in Athens, Greece. We're going to be partying, Brady. We're going to be making some money.
It's going to be fun. We're going to sign some fun fighters. And yeah, the fights will only be 1 round long, I'm thinking. But just one extended. It's going to not be 5, maybe like a 7.5 minute round, 8 minute round. Just one round.
Yeah, because after they're not getting up off the stool, these washed up bums after 5 minutes, whether it's 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes. We're just making sure that we're looking for finishes and we're looking for fat, washed up fighters. And I think we're going to get a lot of entertainment if we find both. And
then we got Lacerda in there. He gave him a call. I just got off the phone with Liang Na.
Yes.
Get Liang Na in there. By the way, she's coming off of a win, believe it or not. She won a fight outside the UFC. Shout out to Liang Na. I think it was like a heel hook or something like that.
Oh, yeah, dude. My people have been talking to the very handsome Sarah Frota, who we haven't seen in a cage in the middle. We're going to make this happen, you guys. Don Davis, move over.
Frota gets suspended like 6 years for all the steroid. Like she got I think a big suspension.
Not by us.
Yeah,
not by us. She didn't get steroids are welcome in our league. We don't give a shit. We're not drug testing anybody. You want to do cocaine? You want to do meth? Whatever it is, we're not going to stop you. We're the freedom of choice. It's your body. You do what you want with it.
We can bring him back, Juan Camilo Ronderos. He'll be eligible. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, because he'd be key just to have in the organization, just so that anybody else in the organization will be like, hey, let's go party tonight. Oh, well, you got any shit? Well, no, but Juan Camilo's right over there to hook you up, you know.
Should we hit up Thomas Gifford or probably leave him out of it?
Maybe we're going to talk to his neurologist first.
Hey, let's leave Thomas. He's been through enough. Thomas, poor Thomas.
I'm not going to have that on my soul.
We got Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright's making an appearance.
Yeah, he'd be a good signing. He'd be a very good signing, man.
Heck yeah. So
let's see what Cabbage Carrera's up to. Remember Cabbage Carrera, Brady?
Carrera, yeah. Cabbage Carrera.
That guy could take a phenomenal beating, man. I mean, like,
oh, I love it. I love it. Let's see. Ends in split decision. I hope not. For the under sake. Dragon Girl. Vera would do some cocaine. There you go. There's a handful of fighters like Tamir Valiev saying he's not actually signed to GFL and to stop tagging and posting him. He's not fighting for them. I don't know what GFL is
like
doing.
He's responding on X, you know, being like, this is not true. I did not sign, you know, and it's his account.
That's hilarious. Yeah, some of the fighters I saw in there, I was like, what? Really?
It makes you want to, like, you see, like, our guy Tyler, 138 MMA, put up a picture of him and it's signed by the GFL. You know, it was awesome.
Hilarious. Bring back, shout out to Benito Lopez and Ally Quinta. Realtor versus Realtor.
Oh, yeah.
There's a headline. There's a headline.
Yeah, and when it comes to selling houses, Ally Quinta knocks out poor Benito Lopez in round number 1. That's Long Island's number 1 realtor right there, my friend. But in a fight, could be different.
Yeah,
Benito's younger.
Yeah, Lopez, I think just recently got started in the realtor business. Just recently got his license. So, yeah, should be interesting. What were we talking about again?
Said Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira. We like that under 2.5 rounds. We're both picking Nurmagomedov, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good to me.
Big boys up next.
And this is we have 3 fights left. All right, yeah, we do got some big boys up next. We got Sergei Pavlovich going against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. We got Pavlovich, 32 years old, 6'3", with an 84-inch reach. Rozenstruik, 36 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach. Pavlovich, 4 years younger, 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach. No, it's a 6-inch reach advantage. Sergei Pavlovich is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Knockout win against Derek Lewis. Knockout win against Tai Tuivasa. Knockout win against Curtis Blades, knockout loss against Tom Aspinall, and then a decision loss against Alexander Volkov. As far as Jairzinho Rozenstruik, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. A knockout loss to Alexander Volkov, knockout win against Chris Daukaus, submission loss to Jonathan Almeida, knockout win against Shamil Gaziev, and then a decision win against Tai Tuivasa. So, yeah, it was kind of disappointing in Pavlovich's last fight because we saw something we've never seen out of Pavlovich. We saw he was very hesitant. I don't know if it was because these guys were friends. They've trained together a lot in the past, but we just saw a completely different Pavlovich, a hesitant Pavlovich. Wasn't really that aggressive because I went back and watched some of his other fights, and it's like against Curtis Blades, he's coming forward, trying to take his head off. Against Tai Tuivasa, as soon as the fight starts, he's charging forward, beating the shit out of Tuivasa. Same thing against Derek Lewis. As soon as the fight starts, trying to take his head off. But against Volkov, it's like, what are you doing, Sergei Pavlovich? Was that the game plan to stay at range against Volkov and get picked apart for 15 minutes? I couldn't believe it. But I'm hoping he gets back to his old ways and goes out there, pressures forward, and tries to take off Rozenstruik's head. If he goes out there and fights like he did against Volkov, he's going to lose the fight. I don't think he's the better striker, but what he does have is some of the best power in the division. He hits like an absolute truck. Isn't he the guy that we said could run through a house? He could run through a house, run through multiple houses. So, yeah, I think Pavlovich gets back to his winning ways here with a first-round knockout win, but I need that aggressiveness back. That Volkov fight was weird. I remember tweeting that week and saying, this man is going to end the new glove curse. Yeah. And I posted a video of Pavlovich. I said, no way this fight's going 15 minutes. Pavlovich, he hasn't even been to the second round ever in the UFC. The fight goes 15. But, I'm hoping we get back to our old Pavlovich ways. So I like Pavlovich round 1, but I guess it all depends how he attacks the fight. But yeah, he's a big favorite, though. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Dude, if I had a time machine, Brady, I wouldn't go back and right some of history's wrongs. I wouldn't do that. I would just go back 6 months and just come on Stat Diggers talking about how all these fights that should have never went to decision, be like, I'm telling you guys that this Pavlovich is a pillow fist and that he's a pussy and that he will not attack Volkov and this fight's going the full 15 minutes. It's just going to be me doing this. For the last 6 months, we've had so many fights.
It's crazy.
It should have never went to the full scorecards, minus 1,000s, minus 700s, minus 800s.
Minus 2,000s.
Charlton against Derek Lewis goes 5 rounds, and I would just do that to just to be a prick, and be like, yeah, I wasted my time machine just going and betting plus money overs in MMA fights instead of like going back and helping people, because people, and I'm trying to help myself here, Brady, so this one here, I think Jairzinho is kind of live at the price. I think he's the better striker. He's obviously a better kickboxer than this guy. Pavlovich is a muscled up freak who can, we were joking around that he used to be on the Russian SWAT team so that they could save money on battering rams. Like Pavlovich would just go and punch the door and it would just fall over and then they would rush the house. So this guy's got ridiculous power, but he's not a really clean technical striker, is he? He's a guy who just punches holes through people's faces. And I think Jairzinho could potentially outwork him, but you kind of got to fight a perfect fight against him. And the problem is that if you're not like Volkov, where you're 6'7", where you've got a comparable reach to somebody like Pavlovich, who I believe has the longest reach right now in the UFC now that Robelas Despain is in karate combat. 84-inch reach, and he's a southpaw, dude. So that's going to be a very difficult thing because against a southpaw, when you're an orthodox, these guys are leading with their weapon, which is the straight right hand, and that's what's going to knock you out from Pavlovich. So Rozenstruik's going to have to be – he's going to have to fight a perfect fight here, I think. And I just don't – I think Pavlovich is going to find the off button at some point in the first 7.5 minutes. I think he's going to find it because it's not like Jairzinho is unhittable, 55% distance striking defense. He absorbs 3 strikes per minute at distance. That could be enough for Pavlovich to find the big shot, to find the off button here. But like I say, man, Pavlovich isn't going to grapple offensively. And I actually think that Rozenstruik is the better striker. The problem is that Rozenstruik probably 3 inches shorter than Sergei, and that 6-inch reach disadvantage is going to be a big deal against the southpaw. So
wait, whoa! Why does it say Rozenstruik 6'2"?
Well, that's what UFC stats says. Or did they? Because I know he came out at 6'4", and then they switched it to 6'2". But I don't update these things between fights because those things aren't supposed to change. He's still listed at 6'2".
Yeah, that's so wrong.
Yeah, he's 5'11", 6 feet tops.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's 3 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach disadvantage here. And, he's going up against a southpaw. So those are all things that are going to be detrimental because I've always said that Jairzinho's best strike is his jab. Mm-hmm. He's just not going to be able to utilize the jab as much against the southpaw. And especially, with the worries of the right-hand counters coming down the pipe, I just wouldn't be throwing it nearly as much, not just because he's a southpaw, but because you're worrying about the counter strikes coming your way when you're in the pocket with Pavlovich. So I have to lean Pavlovich here, but the line is too wide.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Pavlovich just needs to make this a dick swinging contest. Like, remember in the Tuivasa fight, he went out there and he measured dicks with Tuivasa. They literally stood and banged until one man fell. I think he needs to do that. You can't have a technical fight with Volkov. You can't have a technical fight with Rozenstruik. You got to swing dicks.
Yeah, and look, Rozenstruik went out there when he fought Volkov, and he kind of did what Pavlovich should have done.
Yeah,
Rozenstruik just bum rushed him, and he's like, dude, I'm going to knock this guy out before he knocks me out. It didn't work out. He was the one that got knocked out because Volkov was a little bit more precise, and closing distance against somebody that length was just too hard for Jairzinho. But we did not see Pavlovich do that. And then he wound up getting into a point fighting battle with a guy who was much taller than him and much faster than him and much more technical than him. And he lost the fight.
Yep. Yep, can't do that here. Can't do that here. Let's see. Pavlovich opened up minus 210. He's currently minus 305. So a lot of money has actually came in on Pavlovich. I don't know. I mean, he could look minus 300 if he takes off Rozenstruik's head in the first 60 seconds, but yeah, I don't know. Rozenstruik opened up plus 180. He's currently plus 255. The total's interesting to me. I thought that might catch him slipping a little bit because Pavlovich did go 15 his last fight. Rozenstruik has been going over a little bit, but the under is minus 220. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah, and you know when I looked at that, I said, "Well, Harry, let me look at my betting model and see if like there's any reason I would play the over here." Even at minus 220, you would think, "Oh, maybe the over might be." No, you're not doing it, dude. Only one of 7 Sergei Pavlovich fights that have been scheduled for 3 rounds have been over 1.5 rounds, and for Rozenstruik, it's only 3 of 8. So when you combine that, it's 4 of 15, or only 27% of their combined fights have went over 1.5 rounds. And both of these guys have got ridiculous power. So yeah, I think under 1.5 at minus 220, it's still a fairly priced line. Actually, it looks overpriced, but when you compare it to the performance of both fighters at the UFC level, you're like, yeah, that probably hits.
Yeah, I don't think it's overpriced at all. I just thought that more people would be maybe on the over, but the line has not moved. I thought money would maybe come in on the over, but no, it's kind of stayed at minus 220. So we'll see. But yeah, I think it's Pavlovich KO1. All right, let's move on to the next fight. It is Sharo Magomedov going against Michael Page. We got Magomedov, 30 years old, 6'2" with a 73-inch reach. Page, 37 years old, 6'2" with a 79-inch reach. Shara, 7 years younger. Going to have the same height there. It's going to be Page with a 6-inch reach advantage. Shar Magomedov 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Bruno Silva. Won this fight by decision. Knocked out Antonio Tricoli in the 3rd round. Won a decision against Mikhail Olazechuk. And then won by knockout against Armin Petrosian in the 2nd round. As far as Michael Page, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Kevin Holland. Won that fight by decision. And then lost a close decision against Ian Gary his last time out. So very interesting fight here. Very fun fight. Striker's delight. I doubt either of these guys are going for takedowns here. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a very, 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 very close fight, but the line doesn't really indicate that at all. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, Weezy. We got Shara minus 200, Page plus 170. What are your thoughts here on this fight?
Yeah, I think the line should be Page minus 200 and Shara plus 170. The thing is that yes, Page will be a little bit undersized here just because he's the natural welterweight, and we know that Shara's fought his whole career up at middleweight. But Shara's not going to grapple, and if he does, he's kind of stupid because he's not going to have any success with it. And so to me now, this fight becomes about distance management, length, and speed. And if I'm looking, Michael Page, he's so much faster than Shara. And he's so difficult to hit, dude. Nobody hits Michael Page. Nobody outstrikes this guy. He's been knocked out once. It was a freak thing in a scramble where he got knocked out coming up from a scramble. Kind of like how Lucas Alexander got knocked out by Jekka Sergei. Lucas was destroying Jekka. It's just Jekka got a takedown. Lucas got back up, and while he was getting back up, he got caught. Same thing happened to Page. Have you ever seen Michael Page get outstruck at range, Brady?
No.
I haven't either. Right? And I've seen a lot of people try to grapple him. We know that Shara does not have any grappling in his pocket. So Shara is going to have to out-range manage Magomedov. And I think that's possible because Shara's got really good kicks. So I think the distance management game is going to be good for both. But when it comes to head movement and speed, athletic ability, this is all Michael Page. So I think that this fight comes down to speed for me. I just don't see people hitting Michael Page. And Page is somebody who's going to get to use his kicks a lot more in this matchup than he's used to using them against guys that he might be worried are going to take him down. So I still have to tape this fight. But what worries me is that Page, if he's not knocking you out, he's going to win on thin margins because he's so low volume. He only attempts 6.2 distance strikes per minute, but his opponents only attempt 4.8 against him. I mean, he made Kevin Holland and Ian Gary look silly at range. Kevin Holland went back to his corner after round one, and his corner's trying to give him directions, and he's like, guys, I can't hit this guy. I can't find this guy. You know, it's very frustrating to fight him. And if you don't have any grappling in your back pocket, I think Michael Page at plus money here. I don't care if it's in Abu Dhabi. I think these judges are really going to have to stretch if they want to get Shara a win here. And I think it might have to be like a brutal robbery out in broad daylight.
Yeah, which could happen, which could happen.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be a very, 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 very close fight. And yeah, I mean, this guy, Michael Page, made Kevin Holland look silly at distance, which that's impressive. I mean, he outlanded Kevin Holland 38-18 at distance. Like, Kevin Holland, the dude can't stuff a takedown, he can't grapple, but Kevin Holland's a really good striker, right? Made him look silly. Ian Gary is a very, very good striker, and Page outlanded him 19-9. Gary couldn't hit him. Gary couldn't touch him. Gary looked lost against him. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a close fight. And this line is, like I said, not indicating that. Shara opened up plus 120, currently minus 200. Page opened up minus 140, currently plus 170. The over-under set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 minus 240. Under 2.5 plus 190. Yeah, I think the Page money line holds value. Will it hit? Will it win? I'm not sure. The judges do sketch me out a little bit, and I think it's going to be close. And if it is close, potentially goes to Nurmagomedov, but I do think the line is quite off. Let's see. This one's easy. Shara high volume, MVP low volume. Yeah, MVP is so hard to hit though. Page has a worse chin. Agreed. I mean, nobody's knocking out Shara ever, I don't think. Shara's durability is really, really good. Page is super hard to hit. Yes, he is. We have Dana White. Dana White in the building. Shout out Dana White. Good to see you in here saying I take a bullet over Holland and Gary all day, every day. Oh, you take bullet.
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah, I could see that, but you got to remember that they're welterweights, and Bullet's a middleweight, so speed matters. The reason that you worry about moving up is being out, like Kevin Holland, for instance. He looks great at 170. The guy goes up to 185 against anybody that could grapple their way out of a paper bag. The size difference just is too much for him. Page doesn't have to worry about that with Shara because Shara can't grapple. So, I mean, Page is the better grappler here. We all know that. We've got 25 fights of Michael Page, everybody trying to grapple him. They will only put Shara Magomedov in the cage with guys who refuse to grapple. So the only guy who's got tested grappling here is Michael Page. So I think he's the better grappler. He's clearly faster. It's just will there be, and he's got a 6-inch reach advantage too. He could switch stances. I like Page here.
Yep. Holland sucks. He sucks at grappling. That's for dang sure. All right, let's move on to the main event. Before we do so, if you guys could all do us a favor, smash the like button. We do have 345 of you guys watching. I know we have a big game going on. Chiefs versus Bills. Looks to be a pretty competitive game. So yeah, appreciate everybody hanging out with us. And let's talk this main event. We got Israel Adesanya going against Nasruddin Imavov. We got Adesanya, 35 years old, 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. Imavov, 29 years old, 6'3" with a 75-inch reach. Imavov, 6 years younger. Adesanya with a 1-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage. Adesanya is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision win against Jared Cannonier. A knockout loss to Alex Pereira. Knockout win against Alex Pereira. Decision loss to Sean Strickland. Submission loss to Dricus du Plessis. As far as Imavov, 3-1-1 no contest in his last 5 fights. A decision loss against Sean Strickland. No contest against Chris Curtis. A decision win against Delidze. Knockout win against Cannonier. And then a decision win against Brendan Allen. So this is a fight that I don't have a ton of interest in from a betting perspective. What I will say is if this fight was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I would be absolutely max betting Adesanya at minus 155. But I guess the worry for me is kind of where Adesanya's head's at on a 2-fight losing streak. He looked the worst he's ever had against Sean Strickland. But yeah, if the best version of Adesanya shows up, it's hard to really pick really anybody in the division outstriking him across 25 minutes. So I don't know what I'm doing with this one. Probably staying away, though. Too many question marks for me about where Adesanya is at. But Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this main event?
Yeah, for me, it comes down to whether Imavov grapples or not, because I just, I know Israel's a lifelong mixed martial artist and 28 pro fights. And, he talks about how he's going to submit guys in the pre-fight interviews and stuff like that. I think that this guy's white belt level on the ground, plain and simple. The first time that Dricus actually committed to trying to take this guy down, the fight was over 20 seconds afterwards. I couldn't believe the game plan from Dricus du Plessis. And maybe I was just drunk that night, but I remember screaming at the TV, like, dude, take him down. Why in the world would you voluntarily not just agree to strike with this guy? He has no ground game. The guy's never even completed a takedown in any UFC fight. The guys who are the shittiest grapplers are the ones who will always talk the loudest before the fight about how hard they're working on their grappling. It's a dead giveaway that they're just begging, please don't try to take me down. So, like, if Imavov grapples here at all, I don't think this fight is going to be close. I don't think Israel wants to grapple at all in his fights. And I think if somebody makes him grapple, he'll probably just quit, just like he did in the du Plessis fight. As soon as du Plessis got him down, Israel was like, fuck this. I'm not going to win this fight anyway now. So he got subbed immediately. I think it would be the same thing if Nasruddin got him down. But the difference is that I actually think Imavov can actually hang with this guy on the feet, because I don't see Israel doing shit but throwing low leg kicks. I don't see him doing anything but that. I know that he's really technical. I know that he's very difficult to find. I know that he's got excellent footwork and stance switching. I see this guy throwing calf kicks and nothing else most of his fights. And I would think that he's the kind of guy that you could just march him down, get your arms around him, and just maul his ass. So, and here's how you know. If Adesanya says that he's going to go out there and this is going to be a bloody war, then he's going to be running away the entire fight trying to tap this guy's calf 100 times. That's what I see now. I don't see any danger out of him anymore. Do you?
No.
I know he just knocked out Pereira not that long ago. I mean, but I don't see it from this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about Adesanya at this point, but I don't know. Is Imavov going to wrestle? I
don't know.
He doesn't really do much of that.
Doesn't really do it. That's the problem, dude. That's why I would normally just be backing this guy, but he averages less than 1 takedown per fight. He only averages 2.5 takedown attempts per 15 minutes. The divisional average is 3.9. So he's just not a high volume wrestler. But I mean, like, if this guy made Israel grapple, I think he can make this look so easy.
Yeah, maybe. The cardio of Imavov also worries me a little bit. Went back and watched the Strickland fight. Slowed down there. He can go 5 rounds, but he will slow down a little bit. Yeah, this is probably one I'm going to stay away from, I think. But yeah, money is coming in on Imavov. Adesanya opened up at minus 200, currently minus 155. Imavov opened up at plus 170, currently plus 135. The over-under set at 4.5. The over 4.5 minus 200. The under 4.5 is plus 160. I think I might just be sitting back and watching this one. Don't have a ton of interest in it from a betting perspective and really as a fan perspective as well, to be honest. But yeah, nothing sticking out here for me.
I hear you, dude, because I think that we all know that if Israel does come out there and put on a striking masterclass, he's probably going to look even better than minus 180, and, I don't know why Dricus took 4 rounds to actually, like, really attempt the takedown. I think they say that he attempted takedowns in that fight, but there's attempting takedowns and then there's actually committing to it, and first time he committed to it, he got it and the fight was over. And, I think it would be the same thing here, but Imavov is just such a low volume wrestler that I could see putting the bet in on the plus money Imavov and then just throwing shit at the TV, drunk off my ass, going, Wrestle, like just like slurring my words, crying, So I don't know, man. I think I'll join you, Brady, and just sitting back and getting a little bit more information about where Israel is at this point in his career.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna sit back. I think there's other spots I like more on the card, but Weezy, we did it. We went through all 12 fights. So good 12 fight card. What we're going to do now is we're going to do our Stat Diggers parlay. We've been on a heater. We did miss the first week by 30 seconds in the Carlston Harris fight, but last week we hit Grant Dawson, one leg.
Grant Dawson, baby, minus 250.
Yes.
Now I know traditionally, Brady, parlays will have at least 2 legs, right?
Traditionally, yes.
But we had Zach Reese against his original opponent. Who was he supposed to fight? I forgot.
Dumbass.
Oh yeah. We had him beating Dumbass, and then he wound up getting Bakoyev'd.
Oh yeah.
He got hit in the back of the head a few times, but yeah. So obviously it was just a one-legger, and we hit the Grant Dawson. But
I will take it. Win's a win.
Yeah, we will, dude. So what are you looking at this week? Are you putting all on Terrance McKinney at minus 400?
Close. I'll take the under at minus 225 for the McKinney fight. I've had that leg circled for the show.
That makes a lot of sense to me. If I'm looking at money lines to parlay, I wouldn't mind having Said Nurmagomedov at minus 170. I think he's a little bit better everywhere, and especially defensively. So I like that. I like the over 2.5 rounds in Page versus Magomedov because, Page can knock anybody out, but Shara has got a cannonball for a head, dude. You're not knocking that dude out. So I think the over 2.5 rounds could be really good at minus 240. I think Said Nurmagomedov's money line at minus 170 is a good look. I think if we wanted to get a little bit cheeky and go with a plus money look, we could take Hamdy Abdelwahab at minus 110.
What?
Or Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady at plus 158. But I'm looking at this one here. Over 2.5 rounds, Michael Page versus Shara Magomedov at minus 240. Under 1.5 rounds, Hadzovic McKinney at minus 225. That comes out to plus 105 on Bet Online Sportsbook. I think that's a pretty good 2-leg parlay this week for some overs and unders.
I like it.
Because if it were Hamdy,
gosh,
and he lost, then not only will we lose the Stat Diggers parlay, but then I would have to put on 60 pounds of fat. Is that? Oh God, my family would be like, "What's wrong with you, dude?"
I think that works. That's a good
sweating butter.
Yeah, let's not parlay Hamdy. We'll take the over in the Page Magomedov fight and the under in the McKinney fight. Also, don't mind the under in the Pavlovich fight as well. There's some legs sticking up, but I like those two quite a bit.
And I actually was looking at a 3-legger, Brady, where I would put the over 1.5 rounds for Lucas Alexander versus Bogdan Grad in there at minus 175. And that would take it from plus 105 up to plus 222. But the official Stat Diggers parlay, over 2.5 rounds, Page versus Magomedov, under 1.5 rounds, Hadzovic versus McKinney. You get plus money on it.
Yep. I like it. All right. So yeah, that is about it. All that's left, Wheezy, is let the people know what you got going on for content this week.
Yeah, we're back, man. After a 1-week break, we got, like I said, I think it might be 12 events in a row or something, Brady. So we got our work cut out for us. But yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Uncle Wheezy. I'll be going live on Friday after the weigh-ins to do a quick full card breakdown, the greasy 4-leg parlay, give you the ass shaving of the week, give you the dog pick of the week. And we hit all of those last week. So hopefully we can stay on a heater and make you guys even more money this week. And then if you want to check out the over 4 hours of subscriber-only content that I do on my Patreon and Dub Club, if you want to look at my fight write-ups for every fight, 6 to 7 pages on every fight, If you want to see my proprietary betting models, the matchup stats that you see right up there on the screen, check me out at Patreon at Dub Club. You can find my products there. Some really great access to information for MMA bettors who are looking to get an edge on the markets. So yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel. You can find me on my Twitter at MMA Wheezy. You can find me on Patreon and Dub Club. And you can find me this Saturday morning stacking cash tickets like flapjacks, Brady, for UFC Saudi Arabia, the happiest place on earth.
Yeah, someone said the card was starting at 9, but it says it's starting. Oh, it is starting at 9.
9 a.m.?
Oh, yeah.
So 8 a.m. my time?
Oh, yeah.
Looks like I'm doing amphetamines and staying up all night, Brady.
Oh, I might have to hit up one Camilo Ronderos.
Yeah, we'll see what he's got for. I bet he's got some really good stuff.
9 o'clock. We're gonna. Oh, seriously, I'm gonna be up at 9:30 watching Hamdy Abdul versus Jamal Pogues.
And after Hamdy just dusts poor Pogues, you're gonna have to get a hold of a lot of steroids, my friend. A lot of them.
It's gonna be such a terrible fight. Oh my gosh, jeez, that's early, dude. That's early.
It is. It is. I can't wait.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun. It's a really good card for a fight night. It's a very good card.
Yeah, it is. I agree, man. Mike Davis on the card. You know, the Grad Alexander fight's going to be fun. Jasudavicius versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Women fighting in Saudi Arabia. What a world we live in. I mean, and then Rozenstruik Pavlovich. That's a great fight. Michael Venom Page, Israel Adesanya. Yeah, they did it up for Riyadh.
It's a good one. It's a good one for sure. But yeah, guys, that is about it. For me, I'll be posting my full card breakdown and prediction video tomorrow. Have, I think, pretty much every single fight taped. I think there's maybe like one or two more I need to dig into a little bit more. But prediction video out tomorrow, as long as they don't get like norovirus or anything like that. I mean, just the sickness going around is crazy. But yeah, should be good. Live Friday for final thoughts. And then for best bet, I'm thinking maybe like a Friday night live, because I don't know who the hell is going to want to wake up and do a show at 8 o'clock. I'm pretty confident I don't want to do that. So maybe like a late Friday night best bet type thing. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, guys, leave a like on the way out, subscribe, and best of luck for UFC Saudi Arabia. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you.